So I know I get dates wrong, and there's a reason for that. When I do these videos, I try not to do too much background research because the point of this I think the first thing I did was I told my wife, hey, there's an economic collapse coming. She didn't seem to care. I think I told my kids. I know I told the dog. And none of which really seemed to care much about my concern of an economic crash. And so I called my state senator, Sheila. I'd been the vice chair of the 3rd Congressional District when she decided to run for state senator. My best friend had been her campaign manager, and he was currently her chief of staff. And I went to church with her. So if I have a concern, I thought maybe I'll go there. And so Sheila's comment was, I've had someone else who's brought up the same concern. And what do you want to know? What do you want to tell me? And I did. Hey, look, I don't know what you know about the Federal Reserve and about the inflationary issue that this thing can cause, but it's a big problem. I would send her information on passing legislation which would make silver and gold considered a form of money in the state. I thought, hey, if we can get people early on to start, even at a small level, buying gold and silver, in the collapse, we'll have more money and influence than other countries or other states, if you will, because we'll have had a base of what you would call secure money, right? Silver's a coin. You have an ounce of silver, you have an ounce of money. Unlike the dollar bill, where you have a dollar and tomorrow you have 98 cents because the government's inflation has popped you into that. I did a couple of, letters to the editor. I think I did, I did a letter or two to the editor. And I told just about anybody I could tell that there was this thing coming. I ruined birthdays and Christmases and Thanksgiving and any other get-together you want because I had to tell people about this economic collapse coming. That fear and my movement from denial into bargaining was exactly where I was. If you look at this from the stages of grief, I had been in the very first stage of denial when Genworth had a rate increase. And not only had I been in denial, but I was unconsciously incompetent of the financial system that I was participating in. And when the crash happened, that unconscious, denial became quite conscious bargaining. If I could just tell the right person, we could just start doing something and make a difference in the lives of people somewhere in the future when this cataclysmic economic event happens. And I will tell you that would be the color of my life for the next 2.5 years or so until I was laid off. If I classified those years as any one specific thing, it would be the data gathering phase of the mass formation delusion that society lives in about not only our politics, but about our money. We live in a delusion about how the system works. And it works in very specific ways to benefit very specific individuals and small groups of individuals. And people don't realize it. And they're delusional that this system is good, fair, and works for people when it actually does nothing of the sort. And if you want to know just how bad that truth is, or how true that truth is, without money we could have universal health care tomorrow. Because if you don't want to take care of people, then don't work in health care. If you need health care, go get health care. it would also free up an awful lot of medicines and a lot of health solutions that are tied up in patents, litigation, and all sorts of nonsense. But that was a tough couple of years. Very, very tough, because I would try and tell my friends at meetings, I'd try the other wholesalers, hey guys, there's a problem here, hyperinflation, danger, bad for the company. And what's interesting is that as I was waking up to this hyperinflationary state, my company was doing conference calls. Hey, let's answer any questions you have about how we're doing, so that when you're meeting with customers, you have the answers. What questions might you have? My question was, if interest rates are staying low and it causes hyperinflation, how's that going to impact our company? And the guy said, that would be wonderful, because we have a lot of money to invest, and interest rates that are high or move because of inflation are good for our business. And it would be many years later when I would realize that quite the opposite would then be true, which was that low interest rates were terrible for our company. And that would lead us from 2010 forward, because interest rates had been low since 2009, 2010, and they've only raised again very recently. This stretch of near zero interest rates is the largest type of bubble that you can cause, with the exception of one, and that's the indiscriminate delivery of large sources of funds to people who don't have any real need for it. And that's what we did when coronavirus hit. We have a lot of people who didn't need money, particularly those people on Social Security. And you're now dealing with the inflation of that, and it's not done. The inflation will continue to grow. 12 years ago, I woke up to that. What you see around you at 9, 10, and 11% inflation is not what the real inflation rate is. The real inflation rate is probably closer to 16 or 17 or 18. John Williams does a piece on this. Maybe I'll throw that up here. But I had to give up on whether or not I was going to solve this with the original channels. And it became clear after about 3 or 4 years of trying to tell anybody, it became clear that I wasn't just going to tell someone about the problem. I would have to take more direct action. Next week I'm going to talk about some other things that I did, but it will include some of the traveling that I did. I told you I'd talk about it last week, but I thought it'd be useful and interesting to step into this and tell you what happened next. And the answer to what happened next is Bob lost his shit. Tried to tell anybody he would listen, and despite the efforts at church and politics and work and anywhere else, nobody really seemed to care. I mean that very solemnly. Nobody seemed to give a shit. And so here we are. I am attempting to help solve the problem by other means. And those other means are these videos. I hope everybody has a great week, and I thank you for your time. And I'll speak to you again soon. Peace.